Well, the name of this book is The Role of the Juvenile Court Judge, Practice and Ethics. And I wrote this book because no one else had ever written a book quite like it. A juvenile court judge is a different kind of judge than a judge who sits in criminal or civil proceedings. A juvenile court judge has unique responsibilities to reach out into the community on behalf of the children that come before the court. And this outreach involves ethical issues and practice issues that no one had written about at a book length before. And so I felt there was a need in the field to have a book that people, judges in particular, could turn to answer questions about how to be a juvenile court judge consistent with ethical guidelines. This book is different from any other ethics book because other ethics books focus on the problems facing civil judges and criminal judges who essentially sit on the bench and decide cases. This book talks about the juvenile court judge who leaves the bench in order to reach out in the community. I think the best example is CASA. CASA, the Court-Appointed Special Advocates, is a national program, but all CASA volunteers are court-appointed, and judges are urged to start CASA programs throughout the country, and that means they have to connect with the community, talk with people in the community, and help a CASA program get off the ground, and then make sure that the CASA program is functioning properly. Well, those involve unique practice issues. They involve issues of the judge talking with community members and possibly getting involved in fundraising or in community activities. All of those raise ethical problems that a judge needs to think about. You don't want to get in trouble with ethics. And that's what this book is about. The largest portion of this book has to do with the judge in relationship to a CASA program. And I think that is useful information for judges everywhere. I was a juvenile court judge for more than 20 years, and I innovated. There are many things that I did to make my juvenile court better, to serve the children and families who came before the court better. I started a CASA program. I introduced mediation. I introduced a drug court. And all of these practice issues of starting new programs and engaging the community raised ethical questions. And so my time on the bench is reflected in this book about the innovations that I started and how I could do them ethically, and what were the dangers, where were the difficult issues. Those are all addressed in this book, and guidance is offered to judges who wish to start similar programs. There are many issues, more than 500 hypothetical situations mentioned in the book, but one area stands out to me as perhaps the most important, and that is the obligation of the juvenile court judge to try to improve outcomes for children and families, particularly in the judge's work off the bench. And I think that starting and maintaining and supporting a CASA program is perhaps the most important role for a judge, if I had to select one area. CASAs help children who are in foster care. There's no question about that. And it is my obligation as a judge to improve the outcomes for those children, not just in court, but by making sure that the services are available to them in the community. And their voice in my court, coming from a CASA volunteer, is the highest quality information that I ever got. And so the outcomes for those children were improved. by the presence of a CASA volunteer. And I made sure that that CASA program thrived. I spoke to them, I swore them in, I encouraged them, I talked with the director on a regular basis. I wanted to make sure that the CASA program was a success. And most of that work came off the bench. And that's what issue that the book addresses in great detail. If I had to give one message about this book, I would say that a juvenile court judge's job is unique, and that the practice issues and the ethical issues that are raised in this unique role need to be understood by the judge if the judge is going to fulfill his or her role as a juvenile court judge in his or her community. Say, I can do that, and here's how I can do it. Well, the book has been published just 3 weeks ago, and it will be in the hands of every juvenile court judge in California, and I'm hoping that other judges around the country will have interest in it, because my professional goal in life is to improve outcomes for children and families who are unfortunate enough to end up in the child welfare or juvenile delinquency systems.